The enticing selection of buffet dishes welcomed me with open arms. I entered a world of flavors and textures, dazzled by the variety and aroma that filled the place. Without hesitating, I loaded my plate with mountains of delicacies, juicy roast meats, al dente pasta, savory sauces, and a wide variety of tempting desserts. Each bite was an explosion of ecstasy for my senses, and my insatiable appetite drove me to keep trying more and more. My tablemates stared at me in amazement as I munched hungrily, enjoying each bite as if it were the last. As the feast continued, I felt my belly fill and expand with each new portion. I felt full and satisfied, but my passion for food knew no bounds. My belly was beginning to bulge out in an obvious way, and although some looked at me curiously, I didn't care in the slightest. On the contrary, I loved to see how my belly swelled and how my figure changed with each dish. For me, it was a demonstration of my love of food, a celebration of my unapologetic gluttony. I felt powerful. I rested for a couple of minutes and I got up from the table with my belly proudly bulging and protruding. I walked briskly to the till to pay for my food, feeling my every move accentuate my satiety. Some curious eyes fell on me, but I felt so fulfilled and happy that I didn't care at all what they might think. Arriving at the payment point, the attendant looked at me with a mixture of surprise and admiration. He couldn't help but notice my bulging tummy, but instead of judging, he just smiled and commented on how impressive my appetite was. "You must have enjoyed the meal to the fullest," he said with a friendly smile. As I left the store, sunlight caressed my face, and a warm breeze enveloped me as I continued with my tummy in the foreground. Some people turned to look at me, others commented in a low voice, but I went on my way without worrying about other people's opinions. As I was walking home, enjoying the warm sun on my skin and my big swollen belly in the fresh air, I ran into a close friend of my mother who I hadn't seen in a while. I greeted cheerfully, and although I felt confident with my appearance, I couldn't help but notice how his eyes fell directly on my protruding belly. "Oh dear! Congratulations," she exclaimed with an excited smile. "When is the baby?" At that point, I realized that I had assumed my tummy was a sign of pregnancy. Not wanting to offend her, I calmly replied, "Oh, thanks for your well wishes, but I'm not pregnant. This tummy is just that I just ate too much at the buffet." I tried to explain honestly and kindly, but I didn't expect the reaction that followed. My mother's friend became visibly upset and confused. "Aren't you pregnant?" he asked with a suspicious tone. "But look at your tummy, it's big and bloated and round, it's so obvious." I tried to explain once more that my figure was simply the result of my penchant for puffing out my belly until it looked pregnant and that there was no baby on the way. However, her words seemed to have planted doubts in his mind, and his face turned more serious. "It's hard to believe," she said doubtfully, and without further explanation, she said goodbye with a certain coldness and left angrily. I felt a bit embarrassed by the situation, as I hadn't wanted to hurt their feelings or create misunderstandings. But at the same time, I realized that I couldn't control how others interpreted me or how I looked. When I got home, I felt full, heavy and constipated. I headed to my room and lay down on the bed, letting my huge belly rest comfortably on one side. I closed my eyes and fell asleep peacefully, caressing my huge belly like an anaconda resting on one side of the jungle digesting its prey.